You can feel it before you can name it. Something has shifted. They're still there, physically present, but there's a distance that wasn't there before. You reach for them and they don't quite reach back, not in an obvious way. Not in a way you could point to and say this is the problem, but you feel it. In your bones, in your gut, in the way your chest tightens when they walk into the room. You're analyzing everything now. The way they say I love you sounds different. Automatic, like muscle memory instead of truth. The way they kiss you feels perfunctory. The way they look at their phone instead of at you. The way conversations that used to flow now feel like work. You tell yourself you're paranoid, you're overthinking, you're being insecure. But your body knows something your mind doesn't want to accept. The person who used to choose you, who used to light up around you, who used to prioritize you, is slowly backing away. And you're watching it happen in real time, trying to pretend you don't see it. Because seeing it means dealing with it. And you're not ready for what that might mean. You keep searching for proof. Something concrete that explains this feeling. You scroll through old texts and compare them to recent ones. The difference is stark. They used to send you paragraphs, random thoughts throughout the day, things that reminded them of you. Now it's one-word responses. Yeah, busy. You're the one initiating every conversation, carrying the emotional weight, trying to create connection where there used to be effortless flow. You watch how they are with other people. They're engaged, animated, present. Then they come home to you and the light dims. They're tired, they're stressed, they need space. Always an excuse that sounds reasonable enough that you can't argue with it. But you notice they're not too tired for their friends. Not too stressed to scroll social media for an hour. Just too depleted for you. The sex has changed. Maybe it's less frequent, or when it happens it feels mechanical. They're going through the motions. You can feel the absence of desire, of genuine want. You've become a habit they're maintaining, not a person they're craving. And that realization makes you feel pathetic and desperate in your own relationship. You find yourself performing, trying to be funnier, more interesting, more attractive, less needy. You're auditioning for a role you already have, trying to win back someone who's supposed to already be yours. You monitor your behavior constantly. Did you text too much? Are you being too clingy? Are you giving them enough space? You're walking on eggshells in a relationship that used to feel safe. A part of you wants to confront them, to ask directly, are you losing interest in me? But you're terrified of the answer. What if they say yes? What if they've been waiting for you to notice so they don't have to be the one to end it? What if putting it into words makes it real in a way you can't take back? So you don't ask, you just watch and analyze and spiral. You make excuses for them. They're going through something at work. They're stressed about money. They're dealing with family stuff. You rationalize every withdrawn behavior, every cancelled plan, every time they choose literally anything over spending time with you. Because if you stop making excuses, you have to face what's actually happening. You remember when they used to look at you like you were the most interesting person in the world. When they'd cancel other plans to be with you. When they'd text you goodnight every single night without fail. When they'd remember small details you mentioned in passing. When they'd make you feel wanted, chosen, prioritized. Now you feel like an obligation. Something on their to-do list they're avoiding. You see the relief in their face when you say you have plans. You notice they don't seem disappointed anymore when you can't hang out. They used to protest, to negotiate, to try to change your schedule. Now they just say, okay, no problem, and you can feel how much they mean it. You're becoming someone you don't recognize. Anxious, needy, constantly seeking reassurance. You hate it. This isn't who you are. But their withdrawal is turning you into a smaller, more desperate version of yourself. You're fighting for scraps of attention from someone who used to give you their whole heart. The worst part is the gaslighting, not from them, but from yourself. You tell yourself you're imagining it, that you're being too sensitive, that you're sabotaging a good thing with your insecurity. But late at night, when you're lying next to someone who feels like a stranger, you know the truth. They're leaving, slowly, quietly, but they're leaving. And you're just waiting for them to make it official. What you're experiencing isn't paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Your nervous system is picking up on micro changes in behavior that your conscious mind is trying to rationalize away. And there are specific, identifiable signs that someone is losing interest, not signs you're inventing. signs that relationship researchers have documented across thousands of couples. The first and most telling sign is the shift in communication priority. When someone is interested in you, you're in their top tier of communication. They respond quickly, not because they're sitting around waiting for your text, but because hearing from you is a priority. When interest fades, you drop down the ladder. You're no longer urgent. They'll respond eventually, but you're competing with everything else in their life, and you're losing. This isn't about being glued to their phone. It's about consistency. If they used to respond within minutes or hours and now it's regularly a day or more, something has changed. If they used to initiate conversations and now you're always the one reaching out, that's a shift in investment. Communication effort is a direct reflection of interest level. When the effort drops, so has the interest. The second sign is the decrease in future planning. People who are invested in a relationship naturally think in terms of future together. They make plans for next weekend, next month, next year. They talk about things you'll do together, places you'll go, experiences you'll share. When someone is losing interest, they stop building a future with you in their mind. Plans become vague or short-term. They avoid committing to anything too far out. They stop including you in their long-term vision. This happens because they are unconsciously preparing for your absence. Their mind is already testing what life looks like without you, so they're not investing in a future that includes you. If your partner has stopped talking about future plans or deflects when you bring them up, they're emotionally withdrawing. The third sign is reduced physical intimacy and affection. Not just sex, though that's often part of it. It's the casual touches, the hand-holding, the hugs that linger, the kiss, hello and goodbye, the cuddling on the couch. When interest fades, physical affection feels obligatory instead of natural. They might still do it sometimes, especially if you initiate, but the spontaneous, genuine desire to be physically close to you diminishes. This is rooted in neurobiology. When we're attracted to and interested in someone, our brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, through physical touch. We seek that touch because it feels good. When emotional connection weakens, the desire for physical connection follows. If your partner used to be affectionate and now stiffens when you touch them, or only engages physically when it's expected, that's your answer. The fourth sign is emotional unavailability. They've stopped sharing their inner world with you. They don't tell you about their day with the same detail or enthusiasm. They don't share their worries, their dreams, their random thoughts. When you ask how they're doing, you get surface-level responses. Fine, good, same old. They've closed the door to emotional intimacy. This happens because emotional sharing requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust and investment. When someone is pulling away, they stop investing emotionally. They're protecting themselves from the mechanisms of a breakup by detaching now. They're creating emotional distance before physical distance. If you feel like you don't know what's really going on in their life anymore, it's because they've stopped letting you in. The fifth sign is increased irritability and criticism. Small things you do that never bothered them before suddenly annoy them. They're quicker to criticize, slower to forgive, less patient with your quirks. This is what psychologists call negative sentiment override. When someone is interested in you, they give you the benefit of the doubt. They interpret your behavior generously. When interest fades, everything you do gets filtered through a negative lens. This isn't about you becoming more annoying. It's about their perception shifting. They're looking for reasons to justify their fading feelings. Their brain is collecting evidence that you're not right for them, that the relationship isn't working, that leaving is justified. The irritability isn't about your behavior. It's about their guilt. They know they're pulling away, and criticizing you makes it easier to rationalize. The sixth sign is the sudden need for excessive independence or space. Everyone needs some autonomy in a relationship, but there's a difference between healthy independence and withdrawal. When someone repeatedly emphasizes their need for space, when they start creating more and more distance, when they frame you wanting to spend time together as you being clingy, they're pushing you away. This is often couched in language about working on themselves or needing to focus on other things, and maybe those things are partially true. But when someone is genuinely interested in you, they want to include you in their growth, not shut you out from it. They want to balance their individual needs with the relationship. When every conversation becomes about how much space they need, they're building the scaffolding for an exit. What all these signs have in common is a pattern of disinvestment. When someone is losing interest, they slowly stop choosing you. They stop prioritizing you. They stop making effort. And you can feel it because you're not imagining it. Your instincts are reading the truth their words might not be saying yet. The hardest thing about recognizing these signs is accepting what they mean. You want to fix it. You want to try harder. You want to communicate better, or give them space, or be more understanding. But here's the truth you need to hear. You cannot negotiate desire. You cannot convince someone to want you. If your partner is losing interest, the question isn't how do I get them to be interested again. The question is, do I want to be with someone who has to be convinced to choose me? You deserve enthusiasm. You deserve someone who is certain about you, not someone you have to chase, convince, or perform for. Not someone who makes you question your worth on a daily basis. Not someone whose affection feels like a limited resource you have to earn. The right response to these signs isn't to make yourself smaller or more accommodating. It's to have a direct conversation, not an accusatory one, not a desperate one, a clear one. I've noticed some changes between us. You seem distant. Are you still invested in this relationship? Their answer, both verbal and behavioral, will tell you everything you need to know. If they dismiss your concerns, if they gaslight you into thinking you're imagining things, if they make vague promises to do better but nothing changes, you have your answer. If they're honest and tell you they're struggling or questioning things, at least you have truth to work with. But here's what you absolutely cannot do. You cannot stay in a relationship where you're constantly monitoring someone's interest level. That's not partnership. That's anxiety. That's not love. That's survival mode. You cannot build a life with someone you're terrified is about to leave. If they're losing interest, trying harder won't change that. Making yourself more available won't change that. Being more attractive, more successful, more anything won't change that. Because their waning interest isn't actually about you, it's about them. About what they want, about where they are in their life. About their capacity for commitment, about their readiness for this relationship. You can be the most incredible person and someone can still lose interest, not because you're not enough, but because people's feelings change, because compatibility is complex, because sometimes timing is wrong, because attraction and connection aren't permanent just because they once existed. What you can control is how long you're willing to stay in a relationship where you feel unwanted. What you can control is refusing to beg for the bare minimum. What you can control is your own self-respect. If you've noticed these signs and you've brought them up and nothing has changed, that's your answer. Their lack of effort is a choice. Their withdrawal is a message. And the message is, they're not choosing you the way you're choosing them. You can love someone and still leave because they're not showing up for you. You can recognize that what you had was real, and also recognize that it's over. You can grieve the loss while also honoring yourself enough to walk away from someone who's already halfway out the door. The person who's right for you won't make you question where you stand. They won't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. They won't pull away and leave you scrambling to figure out what changed. They'll be consistent. They'll be present. They'll choose you clearly and repeatedly. And if that's not what you're experiencing, you don't have a communication problem. You have a compatibility problem. And no amount of effort on your part will fix what they're not willing to invest in. You already know if they're losing interest. Your body has been telling you. Your gut has been screaming it. You're just afraid to listen because listening means acting, and acting means this might end. But staying with someone who's already emotionally gone, that's ending too, just slower, just more painful. You don't have to wait for them to officially leave to choose yourself. You can stop participating in your own heartbreak. You deserve someone who stays interested, who stays present, who doesn't make you wonder if you still matter to them. If this gave you the clarity you've been avoiding, stay with us. We're here every week, talking about the real stuff, the hard stuff. Subscribe to keep having these conversations. You're not alone, and your instincts, they're right. Trust them.